Lightroom has made some changes just a couple weeks ago, and I was sharing you a series of videos of my Adobe Lightroom workflow the past 6 weeks. And those videos were pre-recorded, so they haven't reflected the major update. So I find some interesting tools, especially in the local adjustment section. And today's video, I'd like to share with you some of the new tools and how I use those tools in my landscape photos. If you wanted to see how I typically edit my landscape photos, I will leave you a link in the description section or somewhere in the corner. This video, I just wanted to highlight some of the new tools from the latest Lightroom update. So, okay, let me first make a virtual copy of this photo. I wanted to let you know that this was not a typical sunset photo. The original photo looks like this. In the develop module, number one thing I would do is to correct the exposure and adjust the basic contrast. When you adjust exposure, you always have to look at the histogram. For this photo, let's say, let me increase the exposure to brighten up the image a little bit. For contrast, I usually don't change that. Instead, I bring the highlight down to 100, bring up the shadow, let's say just 100. Click on the Option key on my Mac and slide to the right until I started to see there's some colors. And click on the Option key again to slide the black to the left until I see some colors. Again, I have very detailed videos how I typically edit my landscape photos. Check out that video if you're interested. So just to speed up the process, let's go directly into the tone curve. Obviously, you can see that in the latest update, there is some kind of changes in the tone curve, especially right now, Lightroom added this parametric curve. But after that, basically the point curve as well as the red, green, and blue channel are exactly the same. Now, I just wanted to increase the contrast a little, bring up the mid-tone a little. As I mentioned in my previous video, I typically would change my blue channel first. The reason is to decide whether I want my photo to look on the warmer side or on the cool side. By bringing down the blue channel curve, you can see that there's a little bit yellowish tone to the overall image. I wanted to bring some sunset colors to the sky. Obviously, the sunset colors, usually red, pink, orange on the warm side. So that's why I bring the blue channel down. And if I wanted to make sure that the rest of the image is not affected by this change, somewhere in the mid-tone, add another dot and make sure the two numbers are exactly the same. Now, I wanted to add a little bit magenta color to the sky by bringing the green channel down. For red, I would do the opposite because I wanted to increase a little bit red tone in the image. Now, okay, I wanted to make sure the rest of the image is not going to be affected. Only the highlight color is changed. Okay, after the tone curve change, let's move on to the local adjustment. This is the part that Adobe Lightroom has made a major update. You can actually see in the middle section, there's this hue tool or slider. And then you can see this new tool in the graduated filter, radial filter, as well as the brush tool. Okay, they all have the same change. So what I wanted to do is add a graduated filter from the sky. Let's say I want the sky to look orange. Isn't that cool? Just by changing in this hue section, you can actually change the sky color. And I wanted to darken the sky a little bit by bringing down the exposure. How about even increase more magenta color in the sky in this local adjustment section? Now, I don't want this whole sky to look orange, so let me select the range mask and select color and click on this eyedrop tool select the only color have this hue effect taking place. Yeah, great. Okay, third thing I wanted to do is to brush this part of the sky and give a little bit warm color. Look, just bring the temperature a little bit, and perhaps adding a little bit magenta into the tone. And I wanted to increase the exposure and give the visual illusion that kind of a light source there. However, I don't want the trees to be lightened up, so choose the range mask one more time and select color. You can see that the trees are going back to normal. Perfect. Now, I wanted to see more color in the water, so what I want to do is next to saturation in the HSL section, click on this little dot and click on the water, move up to increase the saturation, move down to decrease the saturation. As I said, I wanted to increase the color a little bit, but this blue looks more like an ocean blue. I wanted to add a little bit of greenish teal color by changing the hue. Okay. All right, this looks good. And then I wanted to darken the water a little bit. By darkening the water color, you can also see the sky color is also darkened. Basically, I'm telling Lightroom to darken all the blue colors in the image. All right, it looks pretty good to me. I wanted to add a little bit vignetting effect. I mentioned in my previous videos, I love vignetting. So just wanted to make sure that you don't want it to do too over the board like this, right? Anywhere between -15 to 20 looks good. Is there anything else I wanted to change to make this more sunset looking? To be honest, I wanted to change the tree, the green color a little bit by bringing down the green color to orange and yellow and increase the luminance a little. Perfect. Now you can see the image goes from this to this. It's definitely more than a few seconds click like what I normally do, but I just wanted to show you the new tools in this Lightroom update that you can use to change your image, particularly change a dull image into something more vibrant. Now let's see if I can add flip toning. I wanted to add a little more magenta color in the sky. You can do that as well. Okay, and the shadows, perhaps I want my water to look a little bit more greenish. Okay, in terms of saturation, I don't have to bring this up too much. All right, let's see before after. This is before, this is after. Let's see, before, after. It's kind of interesting. Try to play around with the brush tool, with the radial filter tool, with the graduated filter tools, and then see what you can come up with, especially what you can do for a dull image. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope I will see you in my future episode.